The favorite part is always just getting the hugs, because we don't care how far somebody throws it or kicks it or what kind of form they have. We just want them to have a good time, and so they're always willing to share hugs and high fives, and I think that's the best part.
Welcome back to the Warner Legacy. Special Olympics is a charity near and dear to the Warners. Their son Zach participates and has become an example of how something called a disability can become an opportunity. Warner has always made time for those in need and for those who just want to meet the quarterback of their Cardinals. On the football field, Kurt Warner gave fans something to cheer about. In the community, he gave so much more. Whether it was furnishing a home for a needy family during the holidays,
Get set, go! Yay!
or redoing a playground so kids could have a safe place to hang out.
Hi, Mom!
Hi,
The Cardinals are #1.
Sending a message to children about the importance of reading,
Wherever you fly, you'll be the best of the best. Wherever you go, you will top all the rest.
or returning to his roots in Iowa to help flood victims.
Nice to meet you. God bless you guys.
Hey, thank you.
Feeding the homeless at Thanksgiving,
We get so much more out of giving than we get out of receiving.
or hosting an annual punt, pass, and kick clinic for Special Olympians.
Get in that end zone. Get in that end zone. Yeah.
Kurt made time.
Kurt and Brenda do a great job with their foundation, and see so many kids out with smiles on their faces, really enjoying it.
Teammates and NFL players are drawn to Warner and his causes. His flag football tournament each year raises money for his charity, the First Things First Foundation. With Kurt Warner, what you see is what you get. And more than football, it's showing compassion for others.
He just showed that he was a leader, not just on the field, but off the field as well. And he really portrayed that every day from practice to in the locker room. And it was just such a joy to see that from a player that was genuine.
What he portrays on TV, what you see in those interviews, that's him. And he's just a normal, down-to-earth guy who just is a good person, good character.
Warner's connection with the community extended beyond his philanthropic causes and onto the football field. At training camp in Flagstaff, long after his teammates were grabbing lunch, Kurt made time for every fan. His leadership and character gave the Cardinals faithful faith that no task would be too tall for this football team.
We've seen a community come together and rally together. We've seen families that go in front of the TV screen, join together on Sunday afternoons, and have got closer because of what's happened here with this football team.
What is the Warner legacy? To Kurt, it's simple.
I want my kids to remember the difference that we made in people's lives, and I want them to share that, and I want them to take that from my life. Continually give back, regardless of what situation you're in, regardless of how much money you have an opportunity to impact somebody's life. Take advantage of it.
As you can see, Kurt Warner always had time for others, and it included the media. He was always willing to do an interview, good game, bad game, win or loss, and always had thoughtful and honest answers. Well, coming up next on the Warner Legacy, Paul Calvisi sits down with the man for the final time as the quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals. Kurt shares his most memorable moment as a member of the Big Red, plus a tribute to the legacy Warner leaves at University of Phoenix Stadium.
Warner to pass with time, fires over the middle to Fitz, caught at the 45, 50, Fitz is loose, 40, 30, go by, 10-5, Cardinals lead, touchdown, Larry Fitzgerald.
Kurt Warner in a crucial situation. There are few better. That play, one that Cardinals fans will never forget. And welcome back to the Warner Legacy. You have to wonder if the Cardinals held on to beat the Steelers in that Super Bowl, would Kurt Warner have retired after the game? Well, Paul Calvisi sits down with Warner to discuss what ultimately led to his decision to retire and the one conversation that made him pause just for a moment before stepping away.
Why did you know? How did you know for sure? How were you so certain?
I'm not willing and I don't want to commit the way that I've had to over the last 12 years. And I knew the time was getting closer. I knew the last couple years and how hard they were on me physically, mentally, emotionally, that I knew I couldn't do it much longer. It was just a matter of, but how much longer is that? I knew that I couldn't come back and do it any other way, and I knew it was time to move on.
So how many calls did you get from teammates leading up to the decision?
I got a couple, but still, even in those calls, I could tell by the sound of their voice and by what they were saying that they knew it was just an afterthought, that they knew that it was really not going to have any bearing because I was committed to this like I've always been committed to everything, that when I make a decision, I give everything I have to it. And I think my teammates knew that. And that makes me feel good that they knew that I was committed to it, and hopefully I'll get more calls now.
So who was the best salesman? Who had the most compelling pitch when they called you?
Probably more than anybody, it was Coach Witz. You know, we've grown together. We've done so much of this together. It was that conversation and his thoughts and his feelings that made me pause, you know, because I could really feel where he was coming from, and I think feel my impact at that point in time, and I think that's hard to walk away from.
Will you be a Cardinals fan? Can you watch as a fan?
I don't know, at least for a while, if I'm going to be able to be a true fan. I think I'm going to watch certain things, say things should be done this way. You know, why don't you call this play? Why don't you do this? But I think I'll be able to step back enough where I can cheer for my old teammates. You know, I can cheer for the organization that did so much for me and want them to win and be a fan from that standpoint.
Is there one moment or one instance that sort of summarizes, epitomizes your Cardinals career?
Being at the Super Bowl last year. And, you know, it wasn't about the game. It wasn't how it played out or the fact that we had a chance to win with 2 minutes to go. But it was about watching the organization in that process. And that was the defining moment for me, was to watch other players that had never been in the playoffs, to see them in the Super Bowl, to talk to the Bidwell family who had never been there, to see the awe when you walk into that stadium and understand where we were as an organization, as a football team. And, you know, I know you can't define that, or you can't, you know, put a camera on that and show that image, but that was to me a defining moment, and especially of my time here in Arizona, that I'll never forget, because I think it was the epitome of what I wanted to accomplish and what I wanted to be a part of here.
Time and time again, Kurt Warner was underestimated. He fought the odds just to get to the NFL, and that's why so many people can appreciate his story, even in some ways relate to it. And the best part is that the next chapter of Warner's legacy is just beginning, as he retires from football to focus on the things that are truly important to him: faith and family.
This was a specific place, specific time, and the right time.
The gloved one is back, and the Cards on the move.
That is the magic, the mojo of Graybeard.
Warner takes, back to throw, fade, left side Fitzgerald, he got it! Touchdown! Here come the Cardinals and Kurt Warner!
Kurt Warner could throw a Twinkie into a toaster. Kurt Warner isn't in the zone. He is the zone.
You have an opportunity to impact somebody's life. Take advantage of it.
When nobody else believed in us, when nobody else believed in me, you guys did. We're going to the Super Bowl!